I believe so.
Okay, everybody. Hi, I am Tori, a volunteer here with the Etobicoke Humane Society. Thank you so much for joining our first ever virtual open house. We are very excited about this. It is the first time we've ever done something like this, so please bear with us in case we have any bumps along the road or a little bit of hiccups. We're doing the best that we can. We practice this, so we're hoping it's going to go well. I have Cristina Scassa here, who is our president of the Etobicoke Humane Society. Cristina, who do you have with you?
I have Tilly, who's one of our alumni. Tilly came to us in January from Nunavut, and after a couple of weeks, this sweet dog found her forever home, and she's living her best life since finding her forever family.
And some people notice there is a distinguishing feature of Tilly, but she's tell us a little bit about that and why she's a good example of the types of dogs we help.
So Tilly is a tripod. Before she came to us, her leg was caught in a chain and had to be removed, unfortunately. You wouldn't know it from watching her run around and enjoy life. She's a very active, energetic dog. We like to say that we bring cats and dogs into EHS where we heal them, we rescue them, we heal them, we shelter them, and then we find their forever homes. And so often animals come to us in need of some sort of healing, and whether that's medical or behavioral, and we like to work with them to find them their forever homes.
And she's just absolutely beautiful.
Love those eyes.
Yeah, she's great. So tell us just a little bit more about our shelter, where we are, what we do, who we are exactly.
Sure. So Etobicoke Humane Society's been here since 1987. We're located at 67 Six Point Road, which is in the Islington and Northman area. We are 100% volunteer run and 100% donation based. And what that means for you is if you're a donor to the Etobicoke Humane Society, the vast majority of every dollar you donate goes directly to the care of the animals. Last year, we found forever homes for over 400 cats and over 130 dogs. So we're very proud of what we accomplished last year. We're on track this year to do essentially those same numbers.
Awesome. Yeah. Okay. Well, saying that, we're going to take you guys inside and show you some more animals. But we do have to do safety first. We are following COVID-19 protocol. So we're going to put our masks on now. We're going to try and speak loudly so you can still hear us. But we're going to take you inside and tell you a little bit more about how we've been working during the pandemic. Okay, follow me, everybody. Okay. All right, so here we are. We are inside our small shelter with the big part, as you mentioned. So it's a little bit different these days in the shelter. It's a little quieter than it used to be. So tell everybody a little bit about how we've been dealing with the pandemic.
For sure. So we were marching merrily along through January and February. We welcomed about 350 visitors a month to the shelter, whether it's to meet an animal or to drop off a donation or something like that. But in March, when COVID-19 became a reality in the city of Toronto, we evaluated very carefully what we needed to do. And you can tell from looking around here that it's very difficult to socially distance yourself in this facility.
Right, yes.
So we made the difficult decision to move all our cats and dogs to foster. And it's a credit to the volunteers that we were able to do that very, very quickly. Like within a 24 to 36 hour period, we had moved all the animals out of the shelter. So since then, we've been operating on a contactless, foster-based system. So adoptions are happening in a contactless environment. All our animals are in foster, getting the benefits of a foster environment. We've seen some incredible silver linings as a result of this. Some of our long-stay animals have thrived in foster and have been able to find their forever homes, which is tremendous. We are running adoptions at about the same rate as we ran last year, which is just such great news. So the challenge for us in all of this is that while we're still operating at the same volumes, our expenses are at or about the same, and our fundraising numbers have been challenged because we've not been able to hold some of the fundraisers that we had on the schedule. And Tori's going to talk a little bit more about that.
Yeah.
A little bit more about that later. So that's how we've responded. The volunteers have been great. There are a number of them that are very sad because they're not able to come in and do the regular shifts. But a number of those volunteers have stepped up to other jobs that have become important jobs for us in this contactless environment that we're in.
Exactly. Yeah. And it's been a lot of work, but we just want to say thank you to all of our volunteers that have assisted with that. It's been an amazing time. Like you said, we still are seeing great adoption numbers right now, which is what we really care about. There was a bit of a worry what would happen during this time, but people have really been interested in adopting pets right at this time, so it's been great for us.
Yeah, and the other thing I'd like to add to that, I don't know if you noticed behind me out front were those two large yellow bins, and ever since the pandemic started and we closed, people have been dropping off gifts, donations, bags of food, bags of kitty litter, leashes, bowls. The other day, somebody dropped off in the mailbox a $100 pet value gift card, which is incredibly valuable to us. And I just want to say thank you to everyone who has, while shopping, picked up something for EHS and then made the trip out here to drop it off. So we really appreciate all that support that you're providing.
Yep, and that's so important.
Yep.
And just speaking about that kind of stuff, we're going to go in and we're going to talk to Becca and Kelly, and they're going to be talking a lot about our cats at the shelter, and you're going to get to see some cats right now. So I'm going to take you right in here. And this is one of our cat rooms, as you can see. And so this is Becca, and we've got Kelly here, and they're both volunteers with our cat program. So Becca, talk to me a little bit about our cats and our cat program and what's been going on here.
Well, first I want to introduce some cats. Right now we've got Bo is a kitten. He is 4 months and he comes with a built-in friend, Sunny, who is also 4 months old. So this is Sunny. And then we got Ginkgo is the little orange one here. And then Magneto. And then we have Charles Xavier, who's hiding a little bit.
Very creative names that we've got here.
Yes,
We have a theme.
we like themes here.
We do like themes.
This is Magneto. No, that's Nightcrawler.
Nightcrawler.
Sorry, I'm sorry. I already introduced Magneto. Keith is somewhere. He's under the tree. Keith's under the tree. And then we have Honeysuckle up here in the tree. So most of them are actually a result of two separate hoardings that we've taken part in recently.
And are all of these guys available for adoption?
Yes, they are. They are all available for adoption. They are at the shelter because we have a shortage of fosters at the moment. And I know that we wanted to discuss how it is that we removed all the cats from the shelter. And so back in March, we sort of had a bit of an evacuation, and 30 or so cats had to be removed from the shelter. So that was a bit of a process. Over the course of around 3 days, we had to find fosters. We had to find volunteers who could safely handle 30 cats and get the cats into carriers and out to foster homes. We had many of our fosters were actually shelter volunteers who stepped up and took cats on, some even taking as many as 4. And since then, we have had everyone who evacuated the shelter in March adopted except for Ivy. Ivy is the only remaining cat who has not been adopted, and she is available for adoption. She's currently in a foster home doing really well.
And if somebody is interested in Ivy, can they check her out on our website?
Yeah. On the cats page.
Amazing. So Kelly, tell us just a little bit more about the fostering program and how you get involved and how the cat foster program works.
Okay, so I'm the cat foster manager, and so what we're doing is we're looking for people that are willing to open up their home, work with either a skittish cat or a shy cat or a friendly cat to help socialize them, to help get them become more adoptable. And we provide all food, supplies, and we pay all the vet bills.
Yeah.
We just ask that you open up your home, and sometimes if you have to, drive them to the vet.
Right.
So we have on our website under foster, you can click on it. There's a link for both the cat foster form and the dog foster form. So once you click on the foster form, it opens up a Google document, fill it out. And then within a couple of days, one of my foster coordinators will contact you to start the process of going through the application with you to see if you can
foster for us. Once you do get approved within a couple of days, because we have so many cats, I will contact the foster, go over a little bit of how it's going to work with the first time they've got a cat, and I'll ask them to take on either one cat or if they have a bonded pair, and then they foster them. And we just ask that you provide us with weekly updates, try to provide us with as many photos and videos of the cat as possible, tell us as many stories as you can, because the more we know about the cat and the more photos and videos, the quicker we can get them adopted.
Yep, that's amazing.
But I don't have enough fosters. I really need fosters. The shelter being closed, these guys would all be in foster, but we don't have enough fosters.
Yeah.
And we're finding that some cats are actually doing even better in foster than they did in the shelter. So I really need people to foster. I currently have 2 foster cats right now, plus 4 baby kittens that are 14 days old. So I've done a lot in my part myself. I've stepped up.
Yeah. So yes, we could use some help, and people can get some company out of it. They can have a cat.
And who knows, you might fail and adopt them like I did. I foster failed twice.
Exactly.
So,
well, that's amazing, and we're going to see a bit more about the cats a little bit later. We're now going to actually bring in somebody who recently adopted a cat from us. Zoe is the cat's name, and we're going to hear from Sandra, who's going to be talking about the process, how it went, and how she's loving her cat Zoe. So give us a second, and we're going to bring in Sandra right now.
Hi, hello everyone. Can you hear me okay? So my name is Sandra, and I adopted my beautiful cat Zoe, and I'm honored to be on the call today. Thank you. She has stepped out. She's feeling independent, so hopefully she'll come in a few minutes. But I just wanted to speak on the process. I found Etobicoke Humane Society to be such a positive source of joy throughout my lockdown, throughout the quarantine, and I'll just speak on what it was like to adopt Zoe through the pandemic. So I first saw her photo, and then of course I put forth an application. I was connected to a lovely woman who was working at, I think her name was Jennifer. I think it was Jennifer, and she was the coordinator. And so we spoke a bit about the application and about adopting her. And then she connected me with the foster, and the foster was really wonderful too. He was very accessible, and I was able to connect with him and speak with him over the phone, over Zoom. And I saw Zoe on video on Zoom, and I wasn't sure if I would really get a sense of like, okay, is this the cat for me? But it definitely was. It was a really special moment, because there was a moment where I said her name, and then what ended up happening was she looked right at me, and we locked eyes for like a few seconds. And that's when I knew, this cat's mine. I'm going to take her home. We definitely sensed a connection. And so then it was arranged that I picked up, it was through all contactless, and I picked her up, brought her home, and she's happy and comfortable. And it's been such a rewarding feeling to give a rescue cat, a home where she feels safe and happy. So thank you so much.
Unmute us. Yeah, we're good. We're back on. All right. Well, I just want to say a big thank you to Sandra and to Zoe, and sharing that story with us. I hope it's a good example of what happens when you're adopting a cat here. If anyone's super kids, that's kind of the process that we go through. Speaking of adoption, our adoption fees account for about 20% of our funds here at the shelter. So that's really not a whole lot. We get the rest of our money from fundraising and donations, and we work really hard to do that. What's happened this year, obviously, with COVID, is that a lot of our events that we normally do that bring in quite a bit of funds for us, we have those canceled, obviously. So we're running right now what's called the Give What You Can campaign. We started that in May, and it tells exactly what it is. We're looking to ask people to give what they can. We know that this is a difficult time for everybody. But if you are able to give, we have been asking people to do that. This event tonight is to help raise some funds for that as well. If you're able to donate, please do. You're going to hear a bit more about our fundraising later. We'll have our fundraising director, Megan, is going to come on and just explain about that. But if anybody is interested, you can check it out on our website, our Give What You Can campaign. We're hoping to actually replace about $85,000 that we're expecting to lose out on due to the cancellation of these events. So it's quite a bit of money that we're trying to raise. We're doing our best, and we've got some great supporters who are confident we'll still be able to provide the top-notch care that we do for our animals. And speaking of our animals, we have another guest here with Cristina. So who's this?
So this is Sadie. She came to us not very long ago, about 4 weeks ago. She was an owner surrender, and then she came to us via another animal shelter that asked for our help in placing her. So her owner had to give her up for reasons, they just couldn't care for her anymore. We were happy to take her in, and I don't think she spent a moment away from her forever home because the person who fostered her ended up keeping her. And so we were delighted to be able to help her find her forever home. So this is Sadie, and I am very grateful to her for being here to help me talk to you about the dog program and some of the things that we do in the dog program. So we're here in the dog area of the shelter, and you can see some of the things that we have here. So we have a lot of towels because there's a lot of accidents, and then towards the back you'll see the kennels that are normally occupied by dogs when it's sort of pre-COVID. Post-COVID, as I mentioned earlier, they're all going to foster. So the kennels are empty, except occasionally when we have a dog in here overnight while we're waiting for a foster, or if we're doing an assessment for it. We have, like I said, we have 9 kennels. When dogs come in and stay with us, they are taken care of by 3 shifts of volunteers. Again, this is normal times. And so when they're with us, they get obviously fed and well taken care of. They'll get 3 walks a day. In some cases, they get 3-hour-long walks a day, depending on the number of dogs that we have in house. So that, so they get a lot of really great exercise while they're with us. We work with them on training. Sometimes they have not yet been housebroken, so we help them with that so that they can be, a little bit more easily adopted. We'll teach them some correct leash manners and things like that to help them when they're walking. We have a bath in the corner because sometimes the dogs come to us in need of a good cleansing, and so the volunteers, I'm not sure, some of them must love it, but I don't think it's a favorite job for everyone to try and give a dog a bath. So we generally just care for them here until they find their forever homes.
Yeah, and forever homes, we've been having no problem finding forever homes for our dogs. So people might notice, Sadie here has already been adopted, and that's because there's such a high demand for dogs right now that what we're seeing is people will foster a dog, they fall in love, and they're keeping it.
That's right.
We are always getting in new dogs. So we do recommend that people keep an eye on our website. But what's another way that people, if they're interested in getting a dog, maybe they apply to the foster?
Yes, so all of our available dogs are posted on the website. A number of people during COVID, it has become quite a thing to want to have a dog, and in some cases people have wanted to get a second dog. And so there's been a huge demand for dogs in the city, and I'm probably not telling any of our viewers anything that they don't already know. So a lot of people have been going the route of becoming a foster, and that's actually a great route because it allows you to make sure that adding a dog to your family is exactly what you want to do. And it also is a really tremendous way to make sure that you are helping a dog. Like I've said to lots of people that if you adopt a dog, you help one dog for 12 to 15 years, which is tremendous. Yeah. But if you're a foster, you can help 5 or 6 dogs a year. And so over 12 years, you've helped 70 dogs, which is tremendous. And so we are a big proponent of, a robust foster program to help the dogs settle into a home life and to get them ready to be adopted. And in many cases, yes, the fosters fall in love with the dogs and they never.
So, no, that is a good explanation, though. We know that we're tempting people with these dogs right now. But they are part of EHS. They've been adopted through us. We've helped them find their forever homes. And we are always getting in new dogs.
That's right.
And helping other dogs from other situations that need it, and that's what's most important. So we have a lot of applications that come in for each dog these days. Right. So I think it's just, we ask some people, just be patient and we'll find you the right dog for sure. We know that everybody's got, they're looking for a loving home. They have a loving home to give to a pet, and that is amazing.
Right.
So we do understand that if people are looking for dogs, there's a huge demand for it.
Yes, for sure. Can I tell you a little bit about where we get our dogs from?
Yeah, talk a bit more about that.
Yeah, so we have, so I think I told you earlier that we found homes for over 130 dogs last year. And the dogs come from a number of different sources. Our first priority would be local to us, so Etobicoke, GTA kind of thing, where we get owner surrender, so people approach us to take the dogs because they can no longer care for them for whatever reason that might be. And so wherever we can, we will help the dogs that are being surrendered by their owners. And then we also work with local rescues and shelters if they have dogs that they can't place. And last year we had about, I'm going to say 33, a third of our dogs came from those sources. And then after that, our next sort of biggest pool of incoming dogs come from the north, Northern Ontario, Northern Manitoba. And as you may know, in those communities, veterinary care is not as readily accessible as it is here. So a lot of the dogs are not spayed or neutered. And so there's a population problem. And so we have connections with rescues who go in and take the dogs from those communities with the community's permission, of course, and bring them south to us, where we'll take care of their vetting, their spays and neuters, and find them forever homes. And so that's probably about 40% of the dogs that we bring in. And then the other, whatever's left, is international dogs coming in from the Caribbean or from Europe. Similar to the northern dogs, they're living in communities where there is an abundance of dogs and not an abundance of owners. And so we try very hard to make sure that our capacity is utilized across all the dogs in need. And so that's the last group of dogs that we bring in.
Yeah, and that is an important point. Sometimes people wonder, why are we bringing in dogs from other countries when there are dogs that need help here? But in Southern Ontario, where we are, here in Etobicoke, Toronto, we don't have a lot of stray dogs. We have almost zero stray dogs that come in. So there is a need, and there are people that are always looking to adopt. So it's something that we're able to help out with while not sacrificing the placement of a local dog. So definitely it's an amazing thing that we're able to do, and we work with other rescues to help bring them here, and then we kind of just be the facilitator to find them a home. Right. So it's something amazing that we can do that way, but it's not taking away the space of a local dog necessarily, because there are no stray dogs in Toronto, really. Everybody wants a dog. They keep their dogs, which is an amazing thing, and that's why we're also now bringing in dogs from other provinces. We're able to help out in those locations that do have stray dogs.
And have the need.
Yes, and have the need for that. Bring them here, because we have people who want dogs. So we're going to stick with the dog theme. So we're going to say bye to Sadie. And we're actually going to go into the back here, and we're going to talk to Oksana, who is our dog foster manager. And we've got somebody else really special here as well. Hey, Oksana, how are you? Hello. Hi. So, who do we have here? Who is this?
So, this is Striker. Striker, say hello. He's a dog at our foster right now, and I would like to tell you a little bit about our foster program. So, what does it mean fostering a dog? Christina was telling you a little bit about adoption. Mm-hmm. So, adopting means to find a forever home, and fostering is when you're helping a dog temporarily. So when you're giving all your love and attention at your own home, but the OEHS team will be supporting you. And how will we do that? We will provide you with all the supplies and all the necessary, even toys for the dog, and food and everything that the dog might need. We will also assist in arranging the vet appointments and paying for them if the dog needs them. We will give the assistance in dealing with behavioral problems. And all you need is just to give your love and attention to our dog. Nowadays, in the pandemic world, good foster parents are so much welcomed at the EHS. Now we are not able to keep our dogs in kennels for more than a couple of days after they have been brought to the EHS and assessed, as we need to follow social distancing requirements. So we need your help. Please become our foster parents. And technically, I will tell you how you can do that. It is very super easy. All you need to do is to follow 4 easy steps. First one is to fill out the application at our website. The second one is you're receiving a call from our EHS representative who will interview you. Once you're approved, you will receive the profile of the dog, as nice as Striker, for example, and please be attentive and reply that email very quickly. And lastly, you sign the foster contract and make arrangements to pick up the dog. Practically, we will choose fosters that are the best fit for each particular dog, depending on its size, level of energy, needs for training, and etc. The perfect foster parent is someone who can make the transition period for a dog easily and enjoyable. You're not required to be a professional trainer, but the more attention to the dog you're able to give, the more valuable a foster you become. And very interesting question, what do you get out of being a foster parent? You help a dog on its journey to its best life. You learn a lot about different dogs and how to help dogs with different perks. And the most important, you get a whole lot of loving from your foster dog. Otherwise, well, we do have some restrictions actually. For example, you cannot become a foster parent if you're younger than 21 years old. And you cannot foster with us if you're currently fostering a dog with another rescue shelter. We ask that you follow our rules for foster dogs, including restrictions on off-leash activities. So if you feel that fostering a dog is something that you will enjoy, please do not hesitate. Sign up and please apply online.
Awesome. Thank you, Oksana and Mrs. Striker.
Thank you.
I think we'll just stay here right now. We've got some questions, some common questions that we get. So we'll take this time to just fill up on the puppy video. I'm sure no one's going to be tired of that. So there's a couple of things. So we are the Etobicoke Humane Society, but it's important to know that we're not associated with other rescues in the city. So a lot of people think we might be Toronto Animal Services or we're the Toronto Humane Society. While we do work with the Toronto Humane Society on best practices and rescuing animals sometimes, especially when there are large boarding situations, we're actually a separate shelter and we operate on our own, we raise our own money. And so if anybody is looking to donate, please ensure that you are getting to the Etobicoke Humane Society. So that's something we always get asked about. But then another big question is where is the majority of our funds go? So I think we touched on this already, but Cristina, you're signing the checks. What would you say is the #1 cost and where are our funds going?
Veterinary bills. Veterinary bills. I don't quote me on the exact number, but I think it was something like 60% of our expenses last year, maybe even higher than that, went to veterinary bills. And we have a great relationship with our veterinarians, and they're very supportive and generous, but it's still a significant expense to care for an animal.
Yeah. And not even if the animal is even in good health, all of our animals are spayed and neutered.
Right.
And so regardless of their condition when they come to us, we are going to have vet costs. And so last year when we were seeing record numbers of adoptions, we were also seeing record bills coming in.
Right.
And we were way over our budget. But we were able to raise that money, and thanks to our supporters. But it is a significant thing. So if anybody is wondering, we are completely donation and fundraising based, but that's where our money goes. As you mentioned before, because we're all volunteer, very large majority is going back into the care of the animals in the shelter.
That's right. And so just to, you raised a really great point, Tori. So when an animal leaves us, when it's adopted, it has been spayed or neutered.
Right.
It has received its core vaccinations. It has a microchip.
Yep.
And depending on whether it's a dog or a cat, it's been tested for dog or cat things. Like it's been tested, if it's a cat, it's been tested for FIV, for instance. And if it's a dog, it's been tested for parvo.
Yes.
So it's not tested for parvo, so that's a bad example. It's been tested for parvo. Sorry, that's the right example. So, so we take care of the animals before they leave us. And in many cases, in several cases, an animal will come to us with some sort of significant medical issue, and then we take it on ourselves to address that.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. So yes, the most significant expense is that.
Got it. Amazing. Okay. So now I think we're going to move on. As we first understand talking about dog fostering, we're going to move on. We're going to actually hear from Kiyomi, who is a volunteer here. But she has also been a master fosterer for our cats, and she actually foster failed, what we call it. So she has adopted one of our cats that has been really looking for a home. So we wanted to share her story with you. So we're going to welcome in Kiyomi. We're going to bring her in by video. Let's make this first. And she's going to tell you a little bit about how fostering really benefited Abigail, her cat.
Hi everyone, I'm Kiyomi. I've been a volunteer with EHS for 3 years, and when all the cats went into foster in March, I became a foster parent to Abigail. And she just walked away from me right now because I was talking too loudly. But yeah, it's been a really great experience to foster her. So when I first got her, she had been with EHS for quite a few months. And she was a very nervous cat that was not really very trusting of people. But when I got her, she'd made some progress in the shelter, but was still very timid. But I was able to work with her, and over the months that I've had her, she's gone from being a cat that was really nervous of people, didn't want me to touch her with my hand, didn't want to get too close to me, was afraid of playing with toys, to becoming a cat that loves affection. I wish she would come out right now to demonstrate, because she's a very affectionate cat now. She loves just sitting near me. She's totally a super playful cat. And she's just so much more confident than she was when I first got her. So in the time that I had her, I also fostered 4 other cats that all had the same kind of timid personality. And it was a really great experience to get to help them develop skills that made them more adoptable. So they all got adopted, but Abigail kind of stuck with me, and no one was showing much interest in adopting her. And I developed a really great bond with her. It was so special to help her gain confidence and to see that she was starting to really trust me. And so I knew that it would be really difficult to let her go, and I decided to adopt her myself. So I became what we call a foster fail, which is the best kind of failing. And so fostering is something that is always really important, because even when our shelter is open, we only have capacity for a certain number of cats. And so it's something that we always are trying to improve our foster program, get more fosters. And especially for Shire cats like Abigail, because not everybody can do it. So if you're someone who is willing to work with the Shire cats, we're really looking for those types of fosters, because it takes a lot of patience and dedication for sure, but it's just so rewarding when cats like Abigail start to show that they're trusting you, because you know that they don't do that with just anybody. And the great thing about being a foster is that you don't have to worry about the cost. Like Kelly said, our foster manager earlier, she said that all the vet expenses, food, all that stuff is covered. You get a foster coordinator who can help you with any issues you may be having with the cat behaviorally or medically, so you're never alone. And you also get priority consideration if you want to adopt your foster, like I did with Abigail. So that way you get to go through the adoption process before anyone else who may be interested, once you let the adoption team know that you are interested in adopting. Doesn't guarantee that you'll get the cat because you still have to meet the requirements of an adopter, but it does kind of get your foot in the door. So it's just a really amazing experience to foster. I've had such a fun time helping Abigail become more confident, and especially right now during this pandemic, since we're not really having many cats in the shelter. We need foster parents now more than ever. So if it's something that you're interested in, please, as I said before, go to the website, fill out an application to become a foster. And I hope that some of you guys do become fosters with us, whether for cats or dogs, because we're always in need. There are always more animals out there that need homes. So I'm sorry that Abigail didn't make an appearance. She's kind of nervous when I'm talking loudly. But yeah, I'll send it back to you guys at the shelter.
Okay, that was awesome. Thank you so much, Kiyomi. And we're going to have to get Abigail up on our Instagram for sure. She needs to make an appearance because she's so sweet. So we're back in here. We've got a new cat though. So who is this? Who's this handsome fella?
This is Bellamy. Bellamy was rescued off the streets, and he's pretty much awesome. He is very affectionate. He's a little bit needy, and he's chatty. Right now, obviously not. He's trying to prove me wrong, but he is a chatty boy. He prefers to be with someone more often than not. He's not fabulous with other cats, and as we discovered a little bit earlier, not great with dogs, but he does love people. Yeah, you can boop him. Boop. Yes, boop.
He's boopable, that's for sure.
That's for sure, yes.
So he is looking for a home though, for sure.
He is, yes.
Yeah. How old is Bellamy?
He's approximately 1, I believe. So he's a young boy. He's still got to get his yayas out. You know, he's kind of got a kitten personality. He doesn't focus too well. He loves to explore. He's very curious, but he is a good boy, and he loves to be pet.
And he's gonna make it amazing.
Oh yeah, he'll make a great companion for someone one day.
Yeah. So I wanted to talk to you a little bit about pet care during these times. So it has been totally different. It has not been normal for us. So when the pandemic hit, something shut down. How have we been managing our vet care during COVID?
Vet care is kind of the same as you would use Uber Eats right now. It's sort of a curbside pickup deal. We can't go into the clinics. We have to drop the cats at the door in a secure carrier, and the clinic staff will come out and get them. So that's very different for us. There's no interaction physically with the vets in the room. We do speak over the phone with them, but it's quite different. So I know some people out there who have taken their pets, and they would prefer to have that sort of comfort in the room and be with their animal. Unfortunately, it's just not possible, and we feel the same way. Even though they're not really ours, they're still animals that we care deeply about. What affected us most of all, though, was the postponement of critical surgeries like spay and neuter. Spay and neuter is not necessarily considered essential. So those were postponed, like all non-emergency appointments during the beginning of the quarantine. So there's a backlog now of those surgeries. We couldn't do them for a period of time during the quarantine, and now we're booking months in advance for them. And that's a big issue for us, because as a rescue, it is one of our top priorities is that our animals are spayed and neutered before they're adopted. So adoptions are pushed back. Health is at risk for some cats. In the case of Smudge, right, who developed an infection in her uterus, and her spay was booked, I think, a month or so into the future, because that's all we could get, and it actually became an emergency. She had to have an emergency spay because otherwise untreated pyometra can be fatal. So it's been very different for us. We've all adjusted just like you guys, but our vet partners are great.
Yeah, they've been really helpful during this time, and we still have been able to get emergency care for any of our animals that have needed it. So that has been very good for us.
But with the spaying and neutering being delayed, it's now caused like a domino effect. So we're catching up. That means our bills are catching up as well. So we're being very mindful of that. But it is a situation that as a shelter with the volume of animals that we have, it makes a difference to us for sure.
Oh, for sure. Yeah, no, we because we weren't paying as much into the vet during those months because we weren't having appointments, our bills are actually, you know, double what they were during that time.
Yeah.
So it's harder for us. We need money. We need, as Kelly mentioned, we need fosters because the need from the animals hasn't decreased still, right? In fact, in some cases, because of the spay neuter is actually increased, because a lot of street cats haven't been able to be spayed or neutered, there is actually a huge influx of kittens being born on the streets these days.
That's right. I forgot about that, but that's the trap and neuter programs that run for Toronto street cats, which we have a lot of. They were running for some time, and so we are now starting to see the results of that. And we've got lots of kittens. Kelly, who was on here earlier, she is on her third litter of kittens that she's got, at least.
Yes, I think she's on to her third foster litter of kittens.
Right.
And a lot of other, we have probably about
I
think we have about 3 or 4 other litters going right now at the moment.
Yeah.
So it's a big burden, but we're up to the challenge.
Yes, definitely, and we are managing it, and we're making sure to get all the care for the kittens that are coming into us and their mamas that are coming in.
Yes,
because we had a couple of situations with some cats. In case anyone's interested, it's not just the kittens you have to care for; it's the moms.
Yes, yeah, no. Aurora had a very difficult labor, and unfortunately, some of her kittens didn't make it. So she's had to be separated from her kittens in order to sort of recover. Lexi had a fever and wasn't feeding her kittens. So again, her kittens are now being bottle fed and she's being cared for separately.
Yeah. And I want to take this opportunity to mention that Becca does also she helps run our social media accounts here. So keep an eye on that. If you're not already following us, please follow us on Instagram, Facebook, whichever, Twitter. We are on LinkedIn. We have a YouTube, but Instagram, I would say, is our big one. That's what everybody goes to.
Yeah, everyone loves the Instagram
and Facebook. So if you are hearing any of the stories tonight about any of these cats, and you want to learn more, that's one of the best ways to do it is follow us on our social media accounts. We're constantly putting updates on there. We're telling stories of our animals. You get to see them. We've got pictures of the kittens that are up there. So if a kitten is what you're interested in, you can kind of watch them as they grow and then be ready when they are baked and ready to be adopted.
Yes, when the bugs come out of the oven.
Yeah. So I would encourage everybody, please find us on our social media channels and follow us. We've got lots of great content. And it's just amazing. So, with that, we're actually going to turn to Megan, who is our Fundraising Director. She's going to be able to talk to you a little bit about the programs that we have, the different ways to give, how to operate, and how we bring in our fundraising dollars. So, we're going to bring in Megan right now. Just give us a second.
Great. Thank you, Tori. And thank you, EHS supporters, for joining us tonight. I am joined by Lola, who is my 13-year young rescue cat. So she's going to help me tonight as I talk to you a little bit about the fundraising work that we've been doing. So as a shelter that's 100% donation-based, we of course rely on the generosity of each of you to be able to do the amazing rescue work that you've heard about tonight. We're anticipating, as you've heard, that as a result of COVID, we're going to see a shortfall in our revenue of about $85,000. Part of that shortfall that we will see is a loss of funds from Delta Bingo, which we've been so grateful to be a part of that program, where charities receive donations from each of the bingo sessions that they attend. You can read more about that on a blog that we recently posted on our website. And in the past, we have also done events such as Leashes by the Lake, Taste of the Kingsway, and an in-person open house last year. And as many of you have seen, we're also intending to resurrect our bowl-a-thon this year, but unfortunately I've had to cancel that as well. So at the beginning of the pandemic, we of course had to quickly pivot to ensure that we were able to cover the shortfall that that we were going to be in as a result of not being able to participate in Delta Bingo and not being able to run the events that we typically ran in person either. So our fantastic fundraising team, events team, so Jill and Anita and Beata put together a number of, and Claudia, sorry, put together a number of virtual events that have really helped us to carry on. So we were able to do bouquets for Mother's Day, Father's Day cards, and we also ran a series of virtual workout sessions called Sweat for Our Shelter, run by Beata, who is a personal trainer and fitness instructor from the Boulevard Club. And we also ran a challenge for kids called the Positivity Challenge as well. So we've been trying out some different things to see what works during this really interesting and unprecedented time that we're in. Lastly, we launched the Give What You Can campaign, which you've heard about tonight. And we started that on May 4th. And to date, we've raised over $41,000 through all of our events and donations from generous donors like you. But we do need your help to continue the work and reach our goal of $85,000. So we have many different ways that you can give, and you can check out our website. You could become a monthly donor if you wanted to give regularly to EHS. You can give a one-time donation to a campaign such as the Give What You Can campaign. You can participate in our virtual events. You can check out our wish list online too for items that we may need donated. And there are sometimes options that you can donate via your payroll provider or your payroll via your employer as well. So that's something you could check out. Sometimes employers also offer matching programs too. So that's always worth taking a look into with your employer as well. If you own your own business or even as an individual, you may want to consider running your own fundraiser for EHS too. So there are lots of different ways that you can give to EHS depending on what your interest is. So I just want to end by saying thank you so much to each of you for your interest and your support for EHS. And I will hand it back over to Tori.
All right, that was awesome. Thank you so much, Megan. I hope that everybody has a good idea about how we do our fundraising and maybe take a look at our website and see if you can donate. We do know that we've had a question in the chat, what breed that Striker is.
So I'm going to answer that question with,
yes.
He's the adorable breed.
Yeah.
So when we get a dog in, from almost anywhere, but particularly from the north, we don't know what their breed is. I'd lay some money on the fact that there's Rottweiler in him, but because of that coloring. Yeah. But he's got the shaggy fur that might actually be a shepherd or a husky. You know, he's a bit of a mix, but he's definitely the adorable breed.
Yeah, and we have seen some interesting mixes come in, yes, especially from the north. We do see a lot of husky, but there's been some really interesting ones that come in, but they all are just adorable. Yeah. So they're just cute. We've had big dogs, small dogs.
We just recently adopted a 120-pound Cane Corso cross. Wow. Who was just he was just a lovely marshmallow of a dog. Yeah. But it was 120 pounds, which is a very large dog.
That's bigger than I am. For sure. Yeah. So that's amazing. So yeah, our best guess, I don't know, everybody put your guess in the chat if you can figure it out.
Maybe we can raise money on a lottery.
$5 a guess what you think is in him, but he is adorable. It does look like he's going to be kind of big, right? He's probably going to be a medium to large size dog. Yeah,
medium to large size dog, I would expect. I think he's probably about 14 weeks, I think. Yeah. So he's got a fair bit of growing to do.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah. So he is still adorable. So we don't want to take now this opportunity just to talk a little bit about what makes EHS different, because we want to make sure that people understand how we stand out and the what our protocols are and what different programs that we offer here. So one of the ones is our sanctuary program. Yep. And this is a really special one. So tell us about our sanctuary program.
So the sanctuary program started in 2019 with a generous donation from the Badal Foundation. And what the sanctuary program allows us to do is take in animals that we know have a significant medical issue, and we leverage the funds from the sanctuary program to fund the medication or the surgery that the animal needs to ultimately get it to the place where it can be adopted. And then we also use the sanctuary program for animals that are with us that are palliative.
Mm-hmm.
And what makes us different is in the sanctuary program allows us to continue to care for those animals, typically in foster, and fund the medical bills for that animal so that it can live out the rest of its life in a loving and caring fashion, whereas other organizations may not have the resources to be able to do it.
Yeah.
And they'd be in a position of having to euthanize the animal. So we're thrilled to be able to allow the animals in our care to live out the rest of their life in a loving, caring environment with the right medical support they need in order to, to be pain-free and all of those important things. And we've had tremendous success with the sanctuary program. We've had some cats and dogs come into the program and be cared for and be adopted out.
Right. Yeah.
We've had some cats and dogs be in the program, cats be in the program and on an extended basis from a palliative perspective, so over a year, which is another year that they've gotten in living. And then we've unfortunately had some animals that have not graduated out of the sanctuary program. And we've had to, help them through the last stages and humanely euthanize them at the end, but we know that they had several months of loving care before we got to that point. So we're very proud of the work that we do in the sanctuary program. We're grateful to the Badal Foundation for their donation. We fundraise also for the sanctuary program because the more funds that we have earmarked for the sanctuary program, the more animals we can help in this way.
Yeah.
And certainly it is, it's a wonderful thing when we know that we can help an animal in these kinds of circumstances, because in many cases, those animals would not get this kind of care, would find themselves faced with the shelter or the rescue or the organization that they're with it is faced with only the decision of and we're able to help beyond that, which I think is true.
Yeah, and just to give a couple of examples of maybe some of the issues that I know for sure the cats and the dogs have had while they're in the sanctuary program.
Sure. So we had a dog that we brought in specifically to the sanctuary program. His name was Moose. He was a husky, and by all accounts, he had he was in need of cataract surgery. He was a 4-year-old dog that was in need of cataract surgery. And so we took the chance, knowing that he could need very expensive surgery on both of his eyes. We brought him in, and we ended up not having to do the surgery. There was some additional medical care that we needed to provide him, but not the surgery. But the sanctuary program gave us the backstop to be able to bring him in. He was, I think, 2 or 3 days away from being euthanized. We brought him in. We solved the eye problem without having to, operate, and he then was adopted out to an acreage north of the city where he's just living a great life. In terms of the cats, we had a cat, well, I say had because she was adopted, Blanche, who was with us for a number of months with a number of different illnesses. She had a thyroid issue, she had kidney failure, all of these different things, and we worked diligently on each and every one of these, and all of this time she was being loved by her foster, and we got to the point where her thyroid issue was solved, her kidney issue was under control, and I forgot, and I think it was something else, and the foster said, that's okay, I'll adopt her. And so she's now living with her adopter for the rest of her foreseeable life, which is just tremendous. We have another cat, Dahlia, who is likely to stay in the sanctuary program for the rest of her life. She's a senior cat. She has dietary IBS type of issues that are not actually solvable. They're manageable, but they're not solvable. So she's having a great life. And we continue to support her as long as she needs.
Yeah, so that's one example. So our sanctuary program, and talk a little bit about our doggy training. And how that works.
So it's actually the doggy back to, we call it the doggy back to school program. Which, I'm not a marketing person, so maybe somebody can come up with a better title. But the Doggy Back to School program is a program we put in place last year as well, where we have funds targeted for training efforts on behalf of our dogs. And specifically, like you see Striker comes in, he's incredibly cute and he's a puppy, and so you can train him and it's no big deal. But we have had some dogs come in to us that have had older dogs not old, but, you know, past that puppy stage, that have some very challenging behavior issues, whether they're afraid of other dogs, whether they have they're afraid of people, you know, whatever that may be. The most recent dog that we put into the program had a severe problem with resource guard. Anyways, so we engage trainers to help us help those dogs get over their fears, whatever those fears may be.
Yes.
And in some cases, it's a quick fix. You know, it's a couple of sessions with a trainer, dedicated foster, or new owner, or an owner to be if we can solve this problem. And that's great. In other cases, it's a much longer term investment that we have to make in the dog. Regardless, we're committed to those dogs, and we're delighted to have the resources to be able to help them get past their fears and start to live their best lives.
Yeah.
And, you know, in many cases, these dogs would not be given this opportunity because of the challenges that they present. So
yeah, they might be considered that they're not really adoptable.
Exactly.
With their behavior.
Exactly.
And with our Doggy Back to School program, that has included off-site training.
Yes.
So they have gone into boot camp, not just back to school, but we've made that
boarding
investment.
school.
Yes, boarding school. We've made that investment in them, and it has really paid off because they get the professional attention that they need. And
724.
Yes, exactly. And they're able to really overcome those challenges that they have, which would be a challenge for most average people who are looking to adopt a dog. Sometimes the dogs can be very difficult.
That's right.
Yeah. So those are a couple of really good examples about why EHS is different. Obviously, we are a no-kill shelter, which means that we'll care for our animals until they get adopted. And sometimes we have had animals with us for longer than a year. We currently have a cat right now, December, who's been with us for 500 plus days. He's a great cat, but he can be a bit, there's a cat. So sometimes he can be temperamental, but he's a good example. We don't give up on these animals. We will continue to search for a home for them. So if there's anybody watching today who is interested in a cat like December, he is super sweet. Again, check out our social media. You'll find some videos of him. We can put some photos up of him, and you can learn more about him. You might just need a experienced cat owner with him, but he's been with us for so long, but we're not going to give up. He's going to stay with us until we can find him a home. We've had other dogs that have been with us as well. We have, just going back a few years now, we had a couple. They were a loving couple, Royal and Regal, and they were with us for a similar amount of days.
They were over a year. Yes.
Yeah, well over a year. And we worked very hard to find the right family. And they also found a really lovely home a little out of the city so that they could bark, they could be dogs, and they could be together. Yes. And that was a challenge for us, but we do go that extra mile to make sure that our animals are getting the care that they need, and we don't give up on them. We'll hang on to them until we can find them that forever home.
Yeah, we work really hard to find each dog or each cat.
Yes.
In some cases, doing a lot of extra light work in terms of marketing. Yeah, exactly for those purposes.
Yeah. So I think that this is wrapping up our first ever virtual open house. I think maybe we can show the kittens a little bit more, just to make sure that everybody knows. We're going to show the photos for a minute.
Happy tails.
These are our happy tails. These are some of the animals that have been adopted from us. And we've got lots of them, so our bowl does get filled up quite quickly. There we go. All right, so I think that is going to wrap us up. We'll end on maybe a little shot of the kittens. Well, we've got Magneto, I think, staring right at us, looking out the door right here. So all of these cats are here. They're looking for fosters, but overall they are looking for forever homes. Please check out our website for any more information on our cats, on our dogs when we have them. If you can, please apply to be a foster. We've got another great cat to look at, Captain Marvel. Please check him out. He's another one we're really trying to find the perfect home for. But otherwise, this is Ginkgo. He's sweet and adorable, and he is up for adoption. So I want to say thank you to everybody. This is amazing. I hope it went well. We've enjoyed this. We've enjoyed bringing you into the shelter and showing you the animals. And we got some escape. That's okay. We got some breakouts. I remember perfect ending. This is the perfect ending to our Zoom. So this is shelter life right here, guys. So this is actually a perfect example of what it's like at EHS on any given day, is that we've got cats galore and the pets everywhere. So thank you everybody for joining us. This has been amazing. I hope that you really enjoyed it, and I hope it was informative. I hope you've learned about EHS. Please follow us on social media. Find us on Instagram, Etobicoke Humane Society. We're on Twitter, Facebook. Just search Etobicoke Humane Society. And I guess that's all from us. So Cristina, thank you for doing this.
Thank you, Tori, for everything.
I want to thank everybody that helped with the planning of this event, all the volunteers that gave their time to be here tonight, and maybe we'll see you again on Zoom next time.
Right. Look forward to it. Thanks,
okay.
everyone.
Thanks,
Bye.
everybody.